Let's do this. What's going on, Elf? Is that all? That is all that I have right now on the screen. I don't know. So Hia, I don't know what you're trying to write. You start out a bunch of stuff. You censored a bunch of stuff. So you have that blue gun. Yeah, the blue one's pretty cool. Blue one's pretty cool. The blue one is pretty solid. Show us the safe. No. The room is the safe. The room is a vault. I have a fire-rated door and deadbolts. The room is the safe, Bruce. So Hia, I don't understand. What's up, Ammo? Everybody that's joined us, if you're here, go check out Ammo Alchemist. He's one of my buddies. He also does content. He's a great guy. So today's going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about what's going on with SIG, because there's a lot that's been happening, and obviously with the death of the sergeant at F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming, that's going to change. Even though a lot of us have been asking for the narrative to change regarding the P320 and SIG, and the M17, the M18, and the XM7, I think there's a large change on the horizon. And so I wanted to talk about that a bit. But I also wanted to talk about the NFA because there's some new NFA news. So whenever something like that happens, whenever something that potentially affects the Second Amendment community in a very, very direct way, I usually don't wait until my nightly live stream. I usually just go right ahead and we start talking about it because it's important. It's important that we're all educated and are aware of what's going on. Bruce, I don't own any 45 ACPs. I own 9 mils. I have 4 9mm. But I'm getting a 1911 pretty soon. After I get a 44 Magnum and a 4570 lever gun, I'll be getting a 1911. And then we're probably going to do another pistol caliber carbine in 45. Brixton, what's going on, bud? So, for those of you just joining us, there's a lot going on in the world, in the gun world right now. None of mine are suppressed, but most of mine can be suppressed. I mean, technically any gun could be suppressed, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 guns. I remember Brixton. I remember. I have 7 guns that have threaded ends that I can put suppressors on. So, and I have a couple of other guns that are not on the screen that are. One of them is out getting repaired. The stock broke on it. It's a Mossberg shotgun. The stock broke on it, so Mossberg's fixing it. And I also have a Springfield 30-06. Yeah, I'm gonna guess you have like 14 that you own, and you use like 4 on a regular basis. If you're anything like me, Kablamo, I'm guessing it's like 14 to 20 that you own, and then maybe like 4 that you actually use on the regular. So, dang. Thank you, Brixton. Maybe I'll include the not today. Oh, I was close on how many you use. I knew that it wasn't going to be more than like 4 or 5 that you use on a regular basis. Because that's like all of us. Anybody that owns, we're like, yeah, I've got like 14, 15, 37 guns. Oh, cool. What's your favorite? What's your top like 10? Oh, I have like top 5. Well, and then there's like the arms room. I've gotten to know the dude over in the arms room pretty well. Thank you, Brixton. Thank you very much. He has like a bunch of old guns that he can't shoot because getting ammo for it. Like you basically have to special order the ammo from the manufacturer. Fact Elf. Okay. Of all of these guns here, this one was actually my very first gun because this is the gun that I grew up shooting. This is the Marlin Model 60 that I had when I was a kid, that my dad owned, and that he shot when he was a kid. And so this has been around in my family for probably close to like 50 years. Hey, thanks, Odd. Bruce, night vision, infrared. I don't have any of that. Nope. I'm in the military. I don't need. If I'm in a situation where I thank you, Odd. That's funny, ammo. Cardboard history. Cardboard history. You have an M4A1 Bandit in my hands right now. I don't know what to do with it. Is it unloaded? If it's unloaded, then are you at the gun range or are you just like at your house? Brixton, my favorite gun that I own right now is my AK. Just because it's got kind of a cool story behind it. So, but yeah, there is a lot going on. Ammo, I don't know if you saw, but there's new NFA news. There's the stuff going on with SIG. And so there's just a lot going on with in the 2A world, and I didn't want to wait until tonight to talk about it. So what's going on, Dust? Anybody that wants to, if you write a cool message, you can be my banner for this stream, by the way. So we always like getting, I love it when we get likes. I love it when we get subscribers. But the, to me, I'd rather people just have a good time here on the stream and like the stream. That helps it get out into the algorithm, and then if people decide that they have a good enough time, they'll subscribe on their own. Yeah, it's pretty messed up, and we're going to talk about it. I've got some news articles. I might turn the camera towards them, but I'll probably just talk about it regarding what's going on with those news articles and with what happened. Thank you, Fact Elf. Thank you. I love it when you guys subscribe. Everybody that's subscribed also, you have a chance at winning a customized. Thank you, Dust. Probably the biking and a little bit of the change in diet. But everybody that's subscribed to the channel, at 10,000 subscribers, I'm actually giving away a PSA Dagger compact. It's going to be customized with yes, Lil Ben. It's going to be customized a lot like this one down here. So this is one of my daily carries. You see it's got a red trigger on it. That's a custom trigger from Delta Team Tactical. That's a PSA Dagger compact, so it's like a Glock 19 clone. We're ordering a slide from Stifler Manufacturing. We're going to put a red dot on top and a custom trigger. I'll include an OEM Glock mag with it, so it's not just the Magpul mag. So that's going to happen when we hit 10,000 subscribers. We'll be giving that away. If you happen to win and you are not allowed to, we'll figure something out. We'll make sure that we get you something cool as part of the giveaway. Damn it. So, but it's gonna we're gonna try to give away some cool stuff here. Lil Ben, this is my Aero Precision AR9. So, and it uses Glock mags. So, thanks, Dust. Appreciate it. Thanks, Tactical. What's going on, bud? Yep, I have a Chinese Noriko for my AKM. Thank you, Tactical. We'll pin your message. What's going on, Don J? That sucks, Bruce. I'm sorry. I actually, it makes me sad that there are so many countries in the world that do not trust their citizens with good faith that it's illegal to own firearms. That to me is a government that wants to have control over its people, and that's unfortunate. I don't like that. Federico. So this is an SKB, and this is a Winchester 120. It's not a Remington, but thank you. They're very similar firearms. Do I have Nerf battles? So, funny enough, the most frequent Nerf battles that I take part in are when I am doing my military duty, and we do Nerf battles every once in a while in my office when we're in uniform, like during lunchtime. So that's pretty fun. Do you mean, Don J, do you mean the handle? Do you mean the actual wood furniture part or the tube itself? My tube is solid, but my furniture is gets a little wobbly. If it's the furniture, what's going on, Hacker? If it's the furniture, Don J, that's kind of common, is my understanding. If the tube has play, that might be a sign of wear on that upper tube for the gas tube. If the furniture has play, like mine has play because it fits in that metal slot, and as you use it, usually the wood or the plastic or whatever, it'll eventually get worn away. Casey Walsh, what's going on? I'll say your name, no problem. Thank you, Sarah. Not that I'm aware of. I'm not deploying that I'm aware of. I actually just came home from a deployment a year ago, so. Only time it's been shot is around the factory. What brand is it? I'm in the Air Force Reserves.
Hey Dad,
What's up?
guess what I'm doing?
What do you do?
I'm gonna start cleaning my bedroom.
Will you sweep the stairs in this hallway first?
Yeah. Oh.
Yes.
First.
Yes, first. Because it won't happen if I didn't ask you to do it first.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. No, it will.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Freudian slip. I'm right. Please go do it. Please go do it. I'm doing a live stream on way for some emails. It's my 16-year-old daughter. Oh! I'm supposed to tell you, Terra Tactical was on my stream last night. You know, the girl from the Thailand or whatever?
Yeah.
That has lots and lots of subs. She told me to show you her channel on YouTube, and she said you can reach out to her on Instagram, and she wants to talk to you. She thinks it's cool that you do guns too, and you're so young.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So go check out. It should be in her profile on YouTube, but you could probably look her up on Instagram also.
Yeah.
And you can send her a message directly and say, "Hey Tara, I am
Low average
Utah Dad's daughter." Yeah. So.
I was about to name drop. I was about to say,
She doesn't know my first name. Okay, Dawn, if it's the Palmetto State Armory, so unfortunately, I love PSA.
Salutations.
This is my 16-year-old daughter.
Track.
Hey, Rye, what's going on?
Rye.
R-A-I is the name. Rye Star Gaming. Not you, Rye. Boop. So, what was I saying? Dawn, with the PSA AKs, unfortunately, while I really like PSA stuff, my experience is very limited, but I have a lot of people that talk about their experiences. I know a lot of people that have them, and it's kind of hit and miss right now with PSA. My recommendation is that you contact them, and if they say that there's nothing wrong, I don't really have a good answer for that. I know that it's kind of hard to get in touch with PSA about certain things. I haven't had that issue, but I know that their AK line has been pretty hit and miss. I'm sorry to hear that, man. I wish I had a better answer for you. You could always, I know that stuff is fairly interchangeable on the AK when it comes to like the gas tube. So you may be able to find like an inexpensive part. Yeah, I think so I don't think it's going to affect the function. You know, if it doesn't really bother you when you're shooting, then I would say that you're solid. If it bothers you when you're shooting, that's when I would maybe reach out to them and say, hey, I shot it and it did X, Y, and Z. Laylo, Canic, awesome. Canic stuff is good. Dangerous, what's going on? Sorry about it. I didn't say anything. Rise Star, Pestle, please, AK-47. I don't understand what that means. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. Mythic, yes. American PG. I don't know what PG stands for. Go Lover. Hey, yo. What's going on? Man, I haven't even talked about what I was going to talk about. Everybody's more than welcome to ask me any questions about this. But I really wanted to touch on some of the news that's going on. So I'm sure that all of you, if you're new to this channel, you might not know my history with SIG, with the P320 and the M17, M18 platform. Thailand and Cambodia. Yeah, exactly. So up until March of this year, I was a defender of SIG, the M17 and M18. I've shot the M18 many times, haven't had any issues with it. I think it's a fairly accurate platform, not quite as accurate as the M9 or the Beretta 92FS. But cool, Joe. Why? I'm really confused. Why have the policeman called? Hey, your house? Did you call 9? Is somebody breaking into your house? Is somebody trying to hurt you? You should call 911 if that's happening. So anyways, but then back in April or March of this year, SIG put out a statement that says, you know, it ends now. The SIG P320 has gone under rigorous review. It has no problems. It's been under engineering and it's the most scrutinized. And it's like, well, it should be. It's currently adopted by the military, the largest military on the planet, and a law enforcement agency here in the U.S. and several law enforcement agencies outside of a federal law enforcement agency. So SIG, that's right. It should be scrutinized, just like we should hold our politicians accountable. If you're going to have a contract with the United States government, and that's the weapons platform that's going to protect our men and women downrange and in the field, then yeah, no shit. It should be scrutinized and looked at under a microscope. And then they put out their statement exactly, Don. They put out their statement that says, no firearms should ever be carried with a round in the chamber. Well, that simply just isn't true. In fact, if you own a firearm and you carry that firearm on a regular basis, carrying it without a round in the chamber makes you a higher liability for introducing a firearm into the hands of someone that shouldn't have one more easily, and it makes you more of a risk because you are more likely to accidentally shoot yourself or someone else while racking the chamber and not being prepared for the situation. So anyone who teaches a self-defense course, who teaches about concealed carry, who is competent, is going to tell you that carrying with a round in the chamber is the safest way to carry a gun. The safest thing to do is to just not own a gun. I own a gun and I know that, like, owning a gun is dangerous. I am taking that risk and I'm accepting it. Anyone who tells you that guns are not dangerous, well, they're lying. They're denying themselves. Guns are dangerous. They're not dangerous on their own. They don't do anything right here, but they are a tool, like a chainsaw or an axe or a car. All dangerous things. Airplanes are dangerous. It's a giant flying horizontal building. All right? So, when SIG puts out a statement, a firearms manufacturer, that essentially says our gun isn't safe to carry with a round in the chamber, that should have been the indication right there to everyone, hey, we need to reevaluate things. Well, for those of you that don't know, after the incident in Michigan, last year in 2024, I believe it was in June or July, there was an incident with a police officer who was issued a SIG P320. It may have actually been the M17 or M18 model, but it was issued a version of the SIG P320. Went out, shot 1,000 rounds, did his break-in, did his qualification, and then while he was in his lobby at their police department, while it was in an authorized holster that was designed for the SIG P320, the firearm went off. Well, there was an investigation that was done. The holster manufacturer sent out a representative, and they worked with the police department, and the police department brought the FBI on. Ethan, what's going on? What are lies? I'm very confused. So that the FBI and the police department of Michigan, they conducted a study on this particular model of the P320. They worked with I think it was Alien X holsters, and it was a class 3 holster. So they did many. Hey, Ultra, what's going on? I don't know. I don't know if people are. That's fine. I like lies. The P320, Ethan, the P320 in the Michigan Police Department did not go off because the officer was handling it. This was very thoroughly investigated. Now the investigation was not made public until now. I think Ethan he's trolling, but I think he's trolling from a sarcastic perspective. So the FBI got involved, and they did several tests. And what they did was they created a series of tests and stresses for the particular firearm in question. He did have the safety version, and Don, I don't know that the 365 will have the same problem as the 320. But I've heard that the 365 has its own set of issues with the frame and things like that. The internals are different, yeah, and I've heard that it has some other issues that are related to the frame, but that's a different story. So, anyways, the 320 in question with the Michigan Police Department, it went under review. The FBI did several stress tests, and what they did was using this series of tests, they found that when performing actions that a police officer would do, I'm always about to hunt rabbits. Brothers with blinkies, what's going on, man? Oh, your thing disappeared. So in doing these investigations, the FBI determined that this series of tests that simulated running, jumping, climbing a ladder, going up and down stairs, getting in and out of a car, they performed all these tests. They were able to get the striker while the safety was on. They were able to get that firearm, the one that misfired in the cop in Michigan, his weapon that misfired. They were able to get it to misfire, accidentally discharge with the striker while the safety was on, without actuating the trigger at all. Ethan, while the safety was on, the FBI had the safety on, and they were able to get the striker. All right, they were able to get the striker to fire just by manipulating the gun. They were able to get it to fire 9 out of 50 times. 9 out of 50. Well, then SIG found out, and SIG said, well, this was a firearm that may have an issue, and it has been fired over 1,000 times. So this may be a different issue. So SIG provided them with a brand new firearm that had never been shot. And on the second attempt to manipulate and simulate moving around like a police officer would, they were able to get the striker to actuate with the safety on. So, and that investigation by the FBI was kind of brushed under the rug. That was brushed under the rug. That was done last August. Look into that as much as you want. I kind of think that because of things with the administration and the the election, I kind of think that they were trying to avoid any more bad potential press than was already going on. Yep, we're going to talk about that, Stoney. We're going to talk about it. And then just this week, we had, and I know what holster they had. That is the holster that SIG recommends. It's their recommended holster for military and police and government use. That holster with the M18, with the safety on, okay, placed on. As a police officer and in the military, especially for a special weapons group, because that's what that strike group does out of F.E. Warren. I've done things with them before as a cyber guy. They carry with a round in the chamber. They're supposed to carry with a round in the chamber. When you're downrange, you carry with a round in the chamber. All right? So, the fact is, he sat down, put his weapon on a desk, all right? And it went off. And it killed him. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it is 90% user error. The fact of the matter is, if it's more than like 2%, if it's more than 2% a problem with the firearm, that firearm should not exist. If a firearm is not 99%, I'm only talking 2 nines. All right. If we're talking about communication, as a network engineer, I can talk about this. Let's use communication as an example. If there was an organization that said we have 99% reliability and they're an IT company, nobody would ever use that company. 99% of the time, what's 1%? What's 1% of a year? All right. That's 3.65 days. Can you imagine what would happen if your internet company was like, yeah, we're 99% reliable. 3.65 days out of the year, they're just like, our internet might not work at all for 3.65 days. Can you even fathom that? All right? And we're saying, and in this case, the FBI showed that the SIG P320 was able to, is that almost 9.5% failure rate? Could you imagine a tech company? Could you imagine if Wells Fargo, the bank, if they said, "Hey, we have 91% we have a 91% success rate of our bank. Your money is 91% safe here." There's only 9 days out of the year that hackers could get into, or 9% of the year. That's what I mean. That is what people, everybody who's like a super, you're welcome, no problem, Shiva. I'm sorry, I'm totally missing some of the things. Keep talking, guys. I'm sorry if I'm not, I'm kind of on a roll with my thought. But that's what I mean. That is what SIG expected. They hid, and they didn't acknowledge, and they continue to fight and say that it's not their problem. Greater than 1% failure rate in a firearm is unacceptable as a manufacturer. That is 100% unacceptable, especially if the failure rate isn't just, it might not work right, but it could shoot on its own. It could fire, it could ND or AD with a greater than 1% failure rate. All right. How many SIG P320s exist on the planet? Let's say they've made 1 million SIG P320s. What's 2% of 1 million? Anybody? Anybody know what 2% of 1 million is? It's 20,000. All right? 20,000. So if they've only made 1 million SIG P320s of all across all the different models, which we know they've made more, 20,000 is a 2% failure rate. All right? The FBI showed that they have a 9% failure rate. 9 out of 50. Or sorry, 9 out of 50 is greater than that. That is 9 out of 50 is almost 20% failure rate. Sorry, my numbers got confused. Frosty, I'm hesitant to say that people shouldn't carry the P365 because I know lots of people that carry it, know lots of people that are happy with it. I don't hesitate to say I think people should be very cautious to trust anything that SIG says or puts out right now. Because they've been lying and covering up regarding the M17, M18, and P320 models. And if they're so confident doing it with something as public that has won a government contract as the P320, what do you think they're willing to do with something that didn't? That's where I stand. By the way, Frosty just donated $5, you guys. And that's how we celebrate when you donate on this channel. Thank you. Thank you. That's going towards our revolver. Actually, that isn't going towards the revolver anymore, you guys. The revolver, we have met our goal for the revolver. It's paid for. It's going to be ordered soon. We are now working on paying for the 4570. Don J, if you donated $100, you would not only get a Nerf Mega Blaster 100 times, but you would also get a swag pack. Every time we hit $100 in donations on the channel, we do a deployment swag pack, and that includes a 6-pack of Rippets. You can get sugar-free or sugar-full, so you get a 6-pack of Rippets, and you also get your choice of caramel popcorn, butter toffee popcorn, or movie theater popcorn, because when you're deployed downrange, it's hard to get popcorn. All the times I've been deployed, it's like a pain in the ass to actually get popcorn. So you get a 6-pack of big Rippets like this. You get some popcorn, and you get a vinyl so that you can print this onto a t-shirt. I will print it for you and send it to you. You can iron it onto any t-shirt you want, and you also get a copy of this. So I try to take care of my subscribers, especially when they donate to the channel and they help pay for guns for the channel, because that helps increase the type of content that we do. So yes, Don, you will get 100 of those, 100 shots, and then you will also get a swag pack if you donate $100. But we do it as a cumulative goal as a community. So if you don't, then we work towards that. We just keep working towards the goal, and whoever happens to be the person that crosses that $100 threshold, they're the one that wins. So, Aramis, I'm not saying that you can't use a 365. If you want to use a 365, use a 365. If you want to use a P320, use a P320. What I am saying is SIG clearly has had no problem covering up and lying about the issues with the P320. So much so now that ICE, as a member of the Department of Homeland Security, has now stopped using the P320 in all its forms, is doing a recall on it and reissuing Glock 19s. The Air Force is now pulling all use of the M17, M18, pending an investigation of the airmen that fired. So if SIG doesn't have a problem lying about something as public and well seen and like optics of the P320, do you think they have a problem lying about any issues with the P365? And what is the ownership rate of the P365 versus the P320? How many more P320s are there than P365s. So that is where my issue lies. And there's also issues with the XM7 now that they're finding. A lot of issues with the XM7. Now, again, Aramis, I'm not saying there is an issue with the P365. What I'm saying is, do you trust a company that has no problem lying about another one of their products and making the statement that you should not carry around in the chamber ever in any firearm, especially theirs, and then still carry one of their other firearms? All right? I love the P226. All right? I know lots of people that carry the P365. I do. My problem is I don't trust SIG as a company. If something happens, are they going to do the right thing, or are they going to do what they've continued to do up until this point, which is deny, deny, deny? Oh, okay. I apologize. I apologize. So that's where I stand, Aramis. And that's for everybody. It's not that I think the P365 is bad. It's that I don't trust SIG as a company. What's up, Pew Pew Pews? Hey, everybody. Yeah, that's what I mean, is I don't know that I would trust SIG. I don't know that I would trust carrying a firearm made by SIG right now. And I work with pilots on a regular basis. Hey, what's going on, Jody? Did you get my message, Jody? I sent you, Don J. Yes, this is a Marlin Model 60. Zabersi, where? If you don't mind, what county do you live in? I don't ask what town people live in. I just ask what county. I'm in Davis. So Ultrafire, they have an internal mechanism that's supposed to prevent the striker from firing. But some of them do have an external safety. Some of the striker fire pistols have an external safety. Problem is that the FBI has shown that doesn't matter.
Go away! I'm sweeping your gross fur.
So, awesome. Thank you, Jody. So, yeah. So that's kind of where my stance is with SIG. It's not that I think SIG has a bad legacy. I think that some of their firearms that they've produced in the past are amazing. The P226 is legendary. All right, I mean that was the preferred firearm of how many law enforcement agencies, how many special operators and operations, a parajump. Like, I love it. Oh, cool, Zabersi. Cool, awesome. I don't make it down to Utah County very often, but I always try to let people know. I always try to do a video when I'm in the area, and that way, if anybody wants to meet up, say hi or anything like that, I try to make it known. Yeah, it's one of those things that I think that SIG, by taking such a hard stance. Okay, let's use the example of Glock. Back in the 80s, when the Glock 17 first came out, I think it was the Glock 17. It might have been a different model. It might have been like the 26. There were some Glock models that you thought that was a joke. Utah County. Yeah. So back in the 80s, there was an instance of some Glocks that were having some misfire issues. They were having some AD and ND issues. Glock, when it was brought to their attention, all right, when enough people brought it to their attention, they said, please send in your firearms if you've had this, or if you're worried about it, we will look into it, and we will find out what's going on. And they did. They admitted that, hey, it could be something in our manufacturing process. They found the problem, they fixed it, they offered to retrofit any Glock that fell within the parameters and fell within the serial numbers that they were concerned about, and they did it at their own cost. That wasn't saying we build a shit product. That wasn't them saying that oh, we totally screwed the pooch. They said, hey, you know what? We agree there may be an issue here. We're going to look into it. Aramis, that's all. I only own PSAs, so I say Glock, and really when I say Glock, I mean any Glock pattern rifle or Glock pattern pistol, because it's so ubiquitous now. I am on a watch list. I work for the government. Every YouTuber on the planet that does live streams, YM, literally every YouTuber who does live streams, where they're in the picture, they have a background. If it's not a green screen, then it's a real background, like, it's normal. That's fine. Just ignore YM, she's a troll, that's fine. The more she sits and talks to us, the more engagement the channel gets, and that just means the YouTube algorithm has to send more people this way. Yeah, SIG is going to... So Aramis, I don't know if you've subscribed, I don't know if you're interested in subscribing, but I'm giving away a PSA compact with a custom slide and a red dot and a custom trigger when we hit 10,000 subscribers. So if you want another one, or potentially another one, we are giving one away. I feel you, Frosty. I think there's a lot of people that are feeling that way right now. I think there's a lot of people that are worried about. Stay Dangerous. Stay Dangerous is subbed. Thanks, buddy. Everybody go check out Stay Dangerous's channel. So, did that happen too? Did Hulk Hogan die too? Somebody want to confirm that? I'm not desperate for views. I have 9,000 subscribers, YM. Did he die today? Randall, I understand. Ultra, you know. Wait. Holy shit, Hulk Hogan died. He died today. Well, I guess we know what we're going to be toasting to tonight. So we'll be toasting to we'll be toasting to Terry Hogan. Man, first Aussie. Yep. Can confirm. Can confirm. Just look. Terry the Hulk Hogan passed away today. Holy shit. No, Terry, that's his first name, Cap. It's Terry the Hulk Hogan. Man. So we had the Airmen, We had Ozzy, and now the Hulk. Well, I grew up watching the Hulk YM, so like for those of us that have been around for more than, I don't know, 19 and a half seconds, like people that were icons that we watched growing up that did things to motivate kids and to talk about fighting against drugs and like helped us to be better people today, to respect each other and to care about each other. Like Hulk Hogan was a huge part of that. He always stood for that. He was never one to not stand for that. He had his issues personally, but he's a great guy, and that he's gone. Ozzy Osbourne was he was the first concert that I ever went to. I went to Ozfest when I was 18. It was incredible. So yeah, when people like that pass away, people that had an impact on who I am, it affects me because I guess unlike you, and unlike the stereotype that's painted of men, men do have feelings and men do cherish things. And so, like, it affects us and it has an impact on us. So you can get fucked. But like I'm processing this because Hulk Hogan was a huge impact in my life. Are one of my mods in here? Just I'm done with her. Ban her. Ban YM. Just. Hey Bob, what's going on? Every day I just gave you every day I just gave you Jesus power. Holy crap. Now YM's I know we're making jokes about being an ATF agent, but I think that's just YM being a degenerate human being. Like, you know, that's the same type of individual that, like, you know, I'm emotionally touched and thinking about like my memories of like watching movies and crap with Hulk Hogan in it, or watching WWF and WWE, or playing video games that, you know, where he was the main character. Just stupid stuff like that, and what it meant to me, and like being with my friends and just that situation, staying up late, whatever that was. You know, that's what I'm thinking of and remembering and recalling all of that now. And, you know, that's the same type of person that when I said, it's weird that you're crying about Whitney Houston, but I guess it's okay. I mean, if she was that impactful to you, then I get it. And the difference being is that I say that's weird, and then I let it go, and she's mocking us for it. So it's not her first time in here. Normally, she just is obnoxious about the guns. I'm pretty sure she's some liberal from California. I don't really care. Oh, yes. So this is my dog Coco. She's an American Standard Poodle, and she has adapted. She is Darwinism as an example. She's adapted to match the color of the carpet. Tactical carpet dog, that's right. She's the most obnoxious dog on the planet. Like, she doesn't listen very well. She can barely sit when we ask her to. And trust me, this is not for lack of trying. Like, my other dog is a very good listener, very loyal, very obedient dog. She's just retarded. So, yeah, Hogan knows best. Yeah. Yeah, that makes me sad. What's going on, Carson? Well, we were talking about SIG. We were talking about SIG a lot. But then somebody mentioned that Hulk Hogan died, and I was like, no, that can't be right. And then I Googled it, and he, sure as shit, he died today. So we'll be toasting. Aramis, I think it depends on the caliber for AR pistols. I own an AR pistol, my Glock pistol right here. That uses, it's a 9mm. So oh, Papa's Pupies. Oh, cool. I like it. So 5.56. So if I was gonna do a pistol or an SBR, because they're really the exact same thing. If you're gonna do an SBR or a pistol in 5.56, I would hesitate to go much lower than 10 inches if you're not gonna suppress the rifle. If you're gonna put a suppressor on it, which if it's gonna be an SBR, you like at that point you might as well pay the $200 and get a suppressor for it. Because you gain some of that ballistic coefficient back when you suppress it, because you are adding barrel back onto it. So it's just something to consider. If you're going to go less than 10 inches, definitely you're going to want to suppress it. There's a great website that you guys can check out. This is for anybody. So a website that I use a lot when I look at ballistics, when I do things, because I like the science of guns and everything. Go check out the website ballisticsbytheinch.com. If somebody wants to type that into the chat, they can. But it's ballisticsbytheinch.com. A lot of it also depends on ammo, whether or not you're running subsonic, supersonic. If you're in pistol territory, if you're running plus P or plus P plus, there's a lot of things that come into play there. But ballistics by the inch, thank you everydaycarry.com, is a great tool where you can basically look up a bunch of different types of ammos, a bunch of different calibers, and the overall difference in barrel length and ballistic coefficient and energy that you get from those different ammos out of those things. Like as a general rule of thumb, the difference between a 16-inch AR, let's use 16 inches as the standard. Really it's 14.5 because the muzzle device doesn't really do anything in terms of improving pressures in ballistics. So let's just say 14.5 inch. If you have a 14.5 inch barrel and you have 5.56, let's say that is, let's just throw out a round number, let's say 2,500 feet per second at 16 inches at 10 yards. Well, if you drop down to like 8 inches from there, you still have about 90%, or I think it's 87% in most ammos, you still have about 87% performance at 10 yards with that same ammo. So let's say it's just Winchester white box, whatever, 77 grain, 5.56. If that's 2,500 feet per second at 10 yards out of 14.5 inches, and you go down to 8.5 inches, you're going to have about 87% of your ballistic capabilities, your foot-pounds per, your feet per second, speed and everything, all right, from that round. But when you go out to 20 yards, that's when you start to see a drastic difference. It's further than 10 yards. So the shorter the barrel, then the further out you're shooting, that's where you start to see some of those big drastic differences. So, but Aramis, if you want to build a sub 10-inch AR pistol in 5.56, I say go for it. I think 5.56 is, I personally think 5.56 is the best round at 66 grains, 77 grains for home defense. If you have a shorter barrel, that's probably even better because you run less risk if you hit your target of over penetration. That's my personal take. After that, I would say probably a 9mm or a shotgun. That's what I believe. If you're going to use a shotgun, I recommend using no larger than number 6 buckshot and no smaller than like number 4 buckshot. So, but regardless of what your home defense weapon is, the most important thing you can do outside, like, doesn't matter what caliber, what type of firearm or anything you have, there's no amount of accessories or barrel manipulation or ammo manipulation that you can have that will replace going to the range and practicing. Because if you can't hit your target at 10 yards, then it doesn't matter what kind of firearm you have. And when I say hit the target, I want to make sure that I'm being clear. Go shoot a target that's a man-sized target at 10 yards. Don't worry about putting 25 rounds into a space that's this big at 2 MOA or 3 MOA. All right? Just go practice quickly and safely putting rounds into a chest-sized target. Because chances are, if you're in a defensive situation, you're probably not going to be engaging someone who has body armor on. It's probably going to be in your home or out on the street, and it's going to be very quick, and you want to be precise, and you're going to want to be effective at neutralizing your target. So, I'll be completely honest. Do you want to know what I run in my AR for my defensive stuff? I run these. These were some inexpensive rounds that I got. They're not even 5.56, they're 2.23 because it's a little bit slower. I don't want, in my defensive situation in my house, I don't want to have a super fast round. So I have 77 grains. It's 2.23. I have a 2.23 Wild AR-15 with a 16-inch barrel, 14.5-inch with a 1.5-inch muzzle flash hider, Pender Weld flash hider. So that's what I run because I don't want over penetration, and I want it to be moving just a little bit slower because depending on what I'm shooting at, this is still going to go through thick clothing or anything like that, but it's less likely to over penetrate if it hits my target or if it misses my target. If it hits a stud or something like that, it's more likely to slow down more quickly or to shatter and just spall. That's why I recommend, if you're going to do an AR, like an AR-15, go with 2.23 rounds. A lot of people will say, no, don't go with 2.23. It's going to do everything it needs to do, and it has less likelihood of over penetrating. If you can find subsonic rounds that are softer tipped, these are jacketed. These are full metal jacket, but or copper jacketed. If you can find something that's softer tipped, that might be even better. And if it's in your house, I would recommend doing something like this, which is well, I'll let you guys can look at this and see that it's a little different than, say, what comes with your AR. So it's a little, if it's in your house, it doesn't really matter. I'd rather have potentially 40 or 50. I like this because it gives me 10 more, but it isn't so cumbersome that it becomes an issue and it doesn't create that much more weight. That's what I would recommend. It is like choosing 7.62 over 308, but it's like on average 5.56 has about 5,000 psi higher than 223. And if you have a multi-cal, and it's not a 223 wild barrel, it's probably specifically designed for 5.56. So if you're using 223, you lose even more ballistic energy. So that's why I say, for home defense, probably 223 is going to be the best solution. It costs a little bit less than 5.56. There's some softer tipped ammo that's a little bit more readily available, again, at a better price, and it will work for everything you need it to in a self-defense situation in your home with having lower over-penetration risk. The red dot used in the steel ammunition is inclusion 14-inch, 11-inch, 9-inch. Everything does the job. The average properly. Yeah, Bob, 100%, guys. Bob has exactly what I have said from the beginning when it comes to like what I recommend. Like I tell people all the time, the best firearm for home defense, if you're looking to buy your first firearm or a specific firearm for home defense, it's the one that fits in your budget, that you can afford to shoot, and the one that you enjoy shooting, so you'll become proficient with. That's what it is. So yeah, I would not recommend 308 in a self-defense situation for your home. And I also would not recommend 6.5 Creedmoor, which is what I have. So hey, Paul, man, we're having a good stream today. We've been going for a little over an hour. It's been a good stream. Well, I know we kind of got off on tangents. We do that a lot on this channel. I really like that we have these fun conversations. I haven't chilled out for this, but we have how many people watching? 29 people watching. If you haven't already liked the stream, I would really appreciate if you'd like the stream. That helps the channel grow. I know that some people say that subscribers help the channel grow. Subscribers are growth, but likes fuel growth. Likes are what YouTube is looking for. Shares is what YouTube is looking for in like showing interest and the way that their algorithm works. So when you guys like the stream and when you guys share the stream, that does more to generate growth than just subscribing, because people can pay bots and all kinds of things to just subscribe to a channel. But they can't simulate likes and shares. So there are bot services that you can pay to do that, but I'm not going to do that because I'm not a tool. So Jody, I have shot Grizzly ammo. I've shot 44 Magnum Grizzly ammo, but I've also shot 9mm Grizzly ammo. And the PSA dagger can handle the Grizzly ammo. It's from Buffalo Bore, I believe, and it's plus P plus. It's like a solid, very heavy, very fast moving piece of ammo. It's kind of a monster. Love it, Bob. Absolutely agree. Whatever you're most proficient with and whatever you're most comfortable with. Oh, cool, Jody. Oh, Aramis, I love my PSA. That's why I'm giving one away. That's why I'm giving one away when we get to 10,000. Yes, all PSA daggers are plus P rated. Now, for my PSA daggers, I carry 4 different types of ammo. I'll show you guys. Some of it's Winchester, some of it is Hornady, and some of it is Nov X. They're all a little bit different. I don't like swapping out all the different ammos in my pistol, and so I just alternate the rounds because I know that I'm going to probably use more than 1 or 2 rounds. So I really, really like this. This is Nov X. It's a copper and polymer round. It's frangible. It's extremely light, but it's extremely, extremely fast. It's a really cool round. It's the reverse hollow point, so it uses fluid dynamics to create cavitation. Really cool round. Highly recommend you guys check it out. Next, I think this is Winchester. So this is another Winchester Plus P round. This is their silver tip. I think it's just called Silver Tip Defense from Winchester. This is a Hornady Plus P round. This is one of their jacketed hollow points, or semi-jacketed hollow points. So, again, great defensive round. I can't remember. I think this is their HST, or critical defense. And this is another Winchester defensive round. I can't remember what it's called. But this one it's got copper wrapped pedals. So, and I just alternate between all 4 of them. I start with the Nov X, then I go to the Hornady, then the Winchester silver tip, then the Winchester copper tip, and then I go back to the Nov X. What's going on, Simba? All right, we've talked a lot about firearms and tactics, and again, I'm not an instructor. I don't consider myself an expert. I like to think that I'm an enthusiast. I've got some experience. I've been shooting for close to 35 years. I'm fairly proficient. I've got an expert ribbon from the Air Force. I was part of the Governor's Dozen sniper team in Arizona, so I've competed against people, and I'm good enough, is what I say. I'm good enough for my purposes. Am I as good as other people? Do I do competitions? I don't. Maybe one day, but I don't. I don't have the free time or the financial backing to do that at this time. But that would be cool. But I think I know enough to offer kind of regular common sense advice for firearm ownership and tactics and home use if you need to. But chicken curry is so good, man. No, definitely, Aramis, like, I totally get that. I know that mine they all kick a little bit different. I've shot enough cycles with that I'm just kind of used to, that's how I do it. But definitely, like, if there's a round that you trust really well, and it's just a good all-around use round for self-defense, use that. Also, don't forget to go to the range and practice with your defensive rounds, because defensive rounds fire differently than just like range ammo. I am a vampire hunter, Sadi. I am a vampire hunter. I think rip rounds are a novelty. There've been enough videos where they've shot it into ballistic gel and stuff. Like, it just, they look cool and they look scary. But honestly, you'll probably just hurt the person and cause damage that then they can sue you and say, like, by carrying around like a rip round, I think you actually run the risk of being held liable for more than you are, even in a defensive situation. I don't recommend rip rounds. So, So the other big thing I wanted to touch on, Aramis, I really like NovX, NOVX. If you go to their website, novxammo.com, you can check out some of their ballistics. It's pretty cool stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. It was that one that had like the reverse hollow point. I know that there's discussion and there's discourse regarding extremely lightweight rounds that are moving really fast when it comes to heavy clothing. I think that's true to a degree, but I think if that was completely true, then the concept behind like a 5.56 would also not make sense, because 5.56, like it's just go check it out and see what you think. I've used it on like roasts and ham and ribs, to kind of test its functionality against actual what could be simulated as a body, and it works really well. I've thrown burlap over it, I've thrown different things over it, and it still works really well. So I think that it's good. I just also know that it's quite pricey. No problem, Aramis. No problem. It's a pretty cool round, and it's really lightweight. The other thing that's really nice about NovX is it's designed to be frangible. So if you don't hit your intended target and you're worried about over penetration, it's designed that after it hits a very dense, hard object like concrete or wood or sheetrock, it's designed to shatter. So after a couple layers of sheetrock, it shatters. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's not cheap, but it is really cool. I usually buy one box a year, so I don't have a lot, and I usually shoot through like a quarter of the box throughout the year, just so that I can go out and just make sure that I'm proficient with that particular round and how it feels. But it's very flat shooting, it's light recoil, really fun round. So to kind of move on before we close out the stream, because I actually have to get back to work here. I've been going for almost an hour and a half. The other big things, so we talked about SIG, we talked about the M17, M18, we talked about the airmen out of F.E. Warren Air Force Base. The other big thing that's going on is there is now some legislation being presented by the Democrats, by the gun grabbers, out in Washington, D.C., to change the NFA, which currently the NFA, because of the big beautiful bill, the NFA has been reduced, the tax stamp has been reduced to $0, which kind of begs the question as to why the NFA exists. Well, it still exists, and everyone who is a competent gun owner and is a defender of the Second Amendment, anyone who knows how gun laws work, by not dismantling the NFA in its entirety, exactly what we thought would happen has happened. The gun grabbers on the left have presented legislation to increase the tax stamp cost to be adjusted for inflation from that original $200 in 1936 to I think it's almost $5,000. It's like $4,789. So that legislation is out there. Please, as custodians of the Second Amendment, as people who, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you defend the Second Amendment, you should be fighting this. You should be calling your congressmen and your state representatives, and you should be saying, please do not support this legislation. This is racist, it's anti-gun, it's anti-Second Amendment, it's anti-freedom. It is a way to put firearms behind a paywall, which is a tax, which is against the Constitution. It's against the law. To put a tax in front of your rights is against the law. It's in the Constitution. So, no, you're right, Ultra. We should be holding our politicians accountable, and we should be fighting this, like with great ferocity. We don't need any more registrations. We don't need any more infringements on our rights. We just talked about, like, literally the difference between an SBR and an AR pistol is the type of brace that it has on the buffer tube. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? It doesn't. It's stupid. And yet this restriction exists. And so now we have this new presentation, and it's going to be presented that it's designed to help keep people from wanting to become assassins, that it's going to help keep people safer, that it's going to protect schools. All of the legislation that any organization has ever advocated for in the name of protecting children and protecting people from mass shootings has always been absolute bullshit. All right? The only thing, any legislation regarding red flag laws, regarding wait periods, regarding anything, the only thing it's ever affected is suicides. And while that's great, because I think it's terrible that of the however many suicides there are in the U.S., however many of the gun deaths that happen every year in the U.S., 54% of them are always suicides. And that says a lot more about our mental health as a society than it does about firearms. Firearms don't make people want to attempt suicide. Firearms are just a way to guarantee that, hey, if I choose to commit suicide, I will be effective at it. Because 9 out of 10 people who try to commit suicide with a firearm are successful at it. It's a statistic. There's no getting around it. It's true. So when they say, when people make the argument that you are 90% more likely to commit suicide with a firearm than if you don't, that's a true statement. It's just a very twisted true statement. It's not attempt, it's commit. Commit is the success of your attempt. So it's true. Oh. So yeah, make sure that you're aware. Go reach out to your congressman. Go reach out to your political leaders. Go tell them that you don't call, send letters, send emails. Make sure that they know that you do not support the proposals and the legislation to increase the NFA tax stamp from $0 to almost $5,000, because that is an infringement on your rights, and it's putting a tax paywall in front of your rights should you choose to exercise the right to carry an SBR or to suppress your firearm, which is a way to protect your own hearing. So they're trying to restrict your ability to preserve your hearing. 16-inch barrel on a rifle is identically lethal to a 14.5-inch barrel on a rifle because they're the same length. One just has a muzzle device attached to it. So, with that, folks, I think I'm going to wrap up this stream. Like I said, I got to get back to work. I've got a meeting in an hour and a half that I also have to get to. I'll be live again later today. We'll talk more. Thank you so much for those of you that have liked the stream. Thank you so much for those of you that have subscribed. We're that much closer to me giving away the PSA, the dagger, the custom dagger from PSA and from Stifler Manufacturing. That, again, I'm not sponsored by anybody, so I'm paying out of pocket to give that to you guys because you guys have been so generous to me. Thank you for those of you that donated today and that have worked towards helping to increase the Armory, because that increases the type of content that we can create. I can safely announce now that we've earned enough that the revolver is paid for. We're now moving on to the cowboy gun, the lever action 4570. So any donations that you contribute are going to go towards the 4570. We should see the revolver here on the channel. I'm hoping sometime in the next 3 weeks. I've got some things I have to take care of before I order it, but I'll be ordering. I'm trying to price it out, trying to see if I can get some of my local gun shops to match one of the prices that I found. So I try to keep my business local, and I'm trying to do that, and so that's why it's not going to happen right away, because I could just order it today, but I'm not going to. I want to give them the chance to keep the money local and support their businesses. So you guys have a great afternoon. As always, stay zesty, stay sexy, always carry with around in the chamber. Always carry every day if you're legally authorized to. And if you're not, you know, that whole ungovernable thing, there's that pros and cons to being ungovernable. I'm not going to tell you to break the law, but I'm also never going to tell you to put you or your family at risk when you have the means and the ability to protect them. So, love you guys. Thanks again for subscribing. Please feel free to check out my other content. If you're new, share. If you know someone who's into this kind of stuff that might like it, if you know someone that, the streams are a little more serious, but you guys can check out my content. I'm kind of a jackass in my content. I try to have as much fun as possible with my kids and with the things that I do. I push the envelope. I know that I make a lot of FUDs. I know that I trigger FUDs. I've had several people tell me how my trigger discipline is terrible because of my 22 long rifle EDC video, where I pretended to EDC my Marlin Model 60 because it was funny, and I had my finger on the trigger, and there were a bunch of people that got all kinds of like shit blown out their brains butthurt. So, you guys have a great afternoon. We'll catch you later this evening, and hopefully no more bad news, like cool people passing away that have impacted our lives, and hopefully some good news in the gun world, and we see some cool things happening. Love you guys. You have a great day.